A couple days ago, there was a huge ICE raid in Georgia at a Hyundai plant where over 475 people were detained and then eventually arrested. And about 300 of those, maybe even over, were South Korean. Now, this was at a plant where I think they were building it and it was still under construction. Is this going to have a major impact on the Georgia economy? So today we're going to look at a few clips, kind of describing what happened and going into a little bit of further detail. And we're also going to get a little bit of insight from the snitch herself, who claims to have tipped off ICE onto what may have been going on in this plant. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
With more than 450 people apprehended, this marks what appears to be one of the largest ICE raids at a single site in the 22-year history of this agency. Now, here's what we know. This happened at the Hyundai Meta plant site. This is in Elabel, Georgia. This is just 25 miles or so west of Savannah. And according to the Associated Press, this raid stopped construction of this factory that's being built to produce batteries for electric vehicles. On site was ICE, Georgia State Patrol, FBI, DEA, ATF. They were executing search warrant that DHS says is part of an ongoing criminal investigation into this, quote, allegations of unlawful employment practices and other serious federal crimes. They're saying that this sends a clear and unequivocal message, too, that they're taking this very serious.
Just imagine how big of an operation this raid was, everyone. 475 people. That is a lot. I could only imagine how long this took to be able to separate everybody off into, from what I read, it looks like ICE had to interview each and every person, but there were multiple agencies there. I think the FBI was there, ATF, I think some state and local police departments. So this was a big operation. And I think they were under investigation for a month, I think I read, somewhere around that time. So this was something that was going on behind the scenes. And it's just shocking to see this many people be detained at one site. It's really sad, but I just wish that it would not have to be this way. These people were working and minding their own business. But if you ask a certain person, it's people who are here illegally and they need to be shipped out because they didn't do it the right way. I wish if people are working like this in a probably billion-dollar project, I wish that they would have went about hiring people that were at least legal to prevent this. For people that are wanting these jobs to go to Americans, how do you know that it's going to after this? What if Hyundai just decides to wash their hands of the situation and just leave whatever they did be, which I don't think is going to happen because I'm sure a lot of money was already invested into this, but they could do anything at this point. So to people who are thinking this is going to go to Americans, I mean, it could. Hyundai may want to rid themselves of the risk of employing other immigrants and people on work visas, but we'll just have to see. This could be a huge hit to the Georgia economy, and this particular area is probably going to be hit really hard.
Did you see this raid at the Hyundai construction site? Well, this woman is allegedly responsible for the raid. Listen to what she had to say.
So there were 452 illegals, and I was the one that reported the information that I had to ICE. But it goes beyond just someone working illegally. Let me explain to you. These people are working for slave wages. Some are not getting paid. Some are being trafficked. They send money home to their country. They give money to their handler. They have hardly anything left. They live in homes, 5 families deep, have no quality of life. It's modern day slavery. So if you think that ICE is just going in and ripping people out of their jobs, these hardworking people that want a better life, well, guess what? Politicians have really screwed these people because when they came here, they thought they were, hey, the border's open, we're coming in, we're going to get the 5-star treatment, and we can go to the big Walmart, and we can live in a 5-star hotel, and that's just not how it is.
So this is Tory Branham, a Republican candidate for Georgia's 12th congressional district, who as a politician should have thought about how shutting down the single biggest economic investment made by a company in Georgia's history would affect her constituents. This was confirmed by Rolling Stone, and according to the report, Tory recruited a Spanish-speaking union worker who had access to the site to become her informant. After hearing rumors of the construction site using undocumented labor and 3 worker deaths at the site. Ironically, the other workers trusted this union worker because he had previously helped them win lawsuits against unsafe work conditions. So Tory took the rumors and the information from the informants and gave it to authorities. Authorities did say that this was a part of a months-long investigation with multiple agencies, but did not mention that this was started by Tory. And Tory is proud of what she did, saying, quote, "This is what I voted for, to get rid of a lot of," and that word, "but not everyone that was detained was undocumented. There are already reports that 2 people that were detained were engineers who came to the US to advise briefly on the work and were planning to go back to South Korea soon. Also, some crossed into the US undocumented, some had visa waivers and were prohibited from working, and some had overstayed their visas. But they didn't go there with the knowledge of who was working undocumented because they were harassing everyone, including people with status." When I first saw her video, I knew that she had no actual sympathy for the workers. Because if she did, she would have found a way to hold the corporation accountable and not send the Gestapo goon after the workers. All she did was help the Trump administration rip more families apart and financially ruin them for her political gain. So like I said in my first video, these are people whose only infraction was probably working without authorization. And I guarantee you that most of them would fix their status if this government didn't keep intentionally making it difficult for people to do so. But like I said before, this government wants to keep people undocumented so they can be exploited, used as pawns in these political games, and are the ones that end up being blamed for everything while the bosses and corporations get off free.
I don't know. I just don't buy her reasoning for reporting it. It's because of low wages and people going unpaid and slave labor. Now, granted, whenever it comes to undocumented workers and immigrants and people on temporary work visas, stuff like this could happen. I think a lot of the people who were hired to work at this plant were hired through a contractor. I don't think it's directly through Hyundai Motors. So I feel like that company should have been held liable for this. Now, it's not to say that they're not. I think right now, as everything's being investigated, maybe charges might be brought upon them later, because that's really who's to blame. Because if they were going to get in this much trouble, why did they get hired in the first place? But I mean, I feel like we know why, which is like if they really were going to be paid low wages, then that's something that has to be taken up with the company as well, because why weren't they getting paid fairly? They were just pretty much detained because they may not have had their documentation up to date, and who knows if they would have been able to rectify that had they had proper warning. To be just ambushed like this and you didn't have a chance to make the situation better or right for you to be able to remain working, to me, I do feel like that's unfair. Now, some people would argue is, oh, they should have had that together before they even started working there. Us as Americans, we don't know the process and the lengths it takes to get proper documentation to be able to work here. Now, let me know down below if you have someone you know that has been through the process. Let me know if it's easy or if it's difficult, as I'm thinking it probably is, because I'm definitely not well informed on the situation. I've never had to go through any of the process to get that type of documentation to be able to just get a work visa. This was just not done in the right way. And I do feel that if she really wanted to make it right for those people who were being exploited, she would have went through another avenue. She's just trying to do this as a come up to her constituents to show, hey, I care about the state of Georgia. I helped wrangle up 475 people to get them out of here. Vote for me and I'm going to look to get more people out. That's going to be her whole basis of running in the Senate. I think she's running for state Senate. I don't think she's running for US Senate. But this is going to be her whole campaign, is the fact that she allegedly got all of these people detained and arrested. And I just don't think it was for a good reason. It was definitely ulterior motives. And I just want to read a couple comments real fast, because there were a lot of good ones in this particular video. And one says, if she was that concerned, she would have called OSHA instead of ICE. Yes, I agree, because OSHA deals with, the safety and, the well-being of employees. And that would have been the proper route if she felt like there was trafficking and hazardous condition for these employees. But of course, we know that wasn't her agenda. She wanted them out, not protected. Another comment says she just cost her state billions. Probably did, if I could be honest. So that it could really cost that area billions of dollars and the state. But this is what they voted for, as the lady says. So what they vote for, it might be a FAFO coming up in a couple months, but we'll see what is going to come out of this. Another comment says, why would she openly admit to that? I'd be scared to leave my house after that. Yes, I would agree. Because I mean, to come out and openly, it's almost like she was bragging, but in a way she was trying to come about it in a place of wanting to help. But just your statements in that article, that definitely does not come across that way. And another user that replied to that one says, hope she is. And I also hope that her fears prove true in every sense of the word. Yeah. That is probably what's going to happen. She's going to probably have some fears for her life coming up. I'm not condoning that. I don't have anything to do with it. But yeah, I mean, I hope she don't think she did the right thing by coming forward, because she should have kept her mouth closed, because people will retaliate in any way if they are able to find out where she lives, where her offices is. But I'm not wishing any will towards it, even though I'm sure a lot of people probably would.
The president of South Korea has issued an emergency response after over 300 South Koreans were detained here in the United States at a Hyundai LG battery plant in Georgia. The comments from international citizens underneath this make our country look, well, I guess the way our country is now under Trump. These people weren't even immigrants. They were temporarily dispatched to build a factory in the United States, a red state at that, in response to Trump's whining and complaints to Korea. And while they were busy building the factory requested by Trump, he then sent ICE to round them up and arrest them. What a joke and a farce. Bottom line, if you are not a U.S. citizen, don't go to America right now. Too much to risk. Another user going on to say, these South Korean workers followed all visa requirements and were sent as consultants to help build the $12 billion Georgia Hyundai plant, training Americans so the jobs could be sustained. Nothing was wrong, which is why South Korea is outraged, rating them risk the plant closing, massive job losses, and chaos for the local economy. Another user going on to say, this is how an ally who promised over $500 billion in investment in military cooperation is treated. There is no rhyme or reason for anything the Trump administration has been doing beyond blatant racism and pure ignorance. This is clearly evidenced when you watch any of the videos or ICE footage that they have, or footage that is of ICE on TikTok or other social media platforms, because there's plenty of white illegal immigrants here too, but I haven't seen a video, not one, or one name of one of them being rounded up and sent to Alligator Alcatraz. For some reason, all these South African immigrants, well, we should welcome them with open arms, right? As long as they're white. Now, while most Trump supporters have never left their state, let alone their country, those of us who know people on the global stage in other countries or places, we know for certain that this is the common attitude globally right now. People don't want to come here and they don't want to invest here. That foreign-made car you're driving while you're bitching about foreign companies investing in this country, well, once they leave, you're out of a job. And those car parts you have to pay for are going to go way up. This administration is a failure. This administration is a joke. This administration is the result of years of anti-intellectualism and rampant ignorance coming to a head. If this is the new America, we deserve everything we have coming.
He spoke a lot of facts in that video. Well, a lot of the comments he's referencing did too. This area in Georgia is probably going to feel so much burn after the fallout of this. And the thing is that a lot of those people that were arrested were Korean. So as one of the comments he mentioned in his video said, those people were probably there temporarily just to get everything up and running. Hyundai is a South Korean company. They're probably going to want to send South Koreans to America to kind of get things together, get it going, and then they would go back home once they feel everything is set and ready to go. Just because an immigrant is here working, it does not mean that they're going to stay here illegally. Now, yes, does it happen? Do people overstay visas? Of course. And I'm not saying that it's right, but should that be our top priority right now? If the people are not doing anything criminally or hurting anybody or wreaking havoc in a city, why should our taxpayer dollars be used in this way instead of putting it towards the criminals and the people that need to be out, as Trump would always like to put it? And another thing he mentioned was when the South Africans came here, the red carpet was literally rolled out, and I didn't hear a peep out of a Trump supporter stating that they were not satisfied with this. It was crickets. But now that it was South Koreans coming here to assist this area and get everything up and running and to help progress the construction of this building, oh, they needed to get out of here. here. If you don't do it legally, then you got to get out of here. You should have done it legally in the first place. That's the type of attitude they have. We don't know what these people were going to end up doing once they were done with their work in the US. They probably would have went back home. We'll see what any updates will come about from this. I'd be really interested to know. This is a lot going on right now with this huge ICE raid. I just feel for the families who had to be broken apart due to this. It's just sad that people who were just here innocently working are at the top of the minds of this woman and ICE and everybody, to where like there's bigger issues that could be tended to, but somehow this was on top of their list to take care of. Anyway, if there was wrongdoing through the employer, then I think that definitely needs to be addressed. If there was misconduct done in the workplace, and if they discover that there were poor working conditions, then, you know, that'll come out, then we'll really know the truth, and that'll be sad. I don't want anybody to feel like they need to work in such conditions to be able to say they are able to stay here. But again, I don't want to draw off this video too long. It's just a sad story. But definitely let me know what you think of this down below. Do you think that they should stay because they were progressing this community, or do you feel their work visas were expired, then they have to go? Definitely want to hear what you think. I'm excited to read the comments, but otherwise don't forget to give me a like and subscribe, because that will really let me know that you're liking my content and want to see more. And in the meantime, I'm going to catch you guys in the next video. Bye. See you later.